So wonderful here. Wonderful day here in the Northeast. Although it looks like those gloomy, like foggy uh uh woods out here. It's almost like going through the woods in fog, like Little Red Riding Hood right now. So good morning, Wally. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Johnny. So we're gonna wait for a few more people to join. We have an interesting topic for today. Good morning, Susan. So we're just going to give it a few more moments. It's supposed to be really nice out today. Good morning, Lisa. Really, really nice. It's supposed to go up to almost 70. I think it's 64, 68, something like that. So I'm excited. So we're going to be talking about the purpose of worship this morning. And so, good morning, Gert. If you see me squirming, it's because the Lord is speaking to me too. Oh my goodness. This is going to be an interesting one. Good morning, Caroline. So we're on John chapter 4. We're going to read a little bit, probably a couple of verses, and then we're going to go into Psalm 63, okay? Just in case you want to know. So we're going to be in John chapter 4 and then Psalm 63, all right? And it's going to be really good today. And I'm not sure if we're going to be able to finish what we are going to start today. But, in John chapter 4, from verses 23 to 24, it says, "From here on, worshiping the Father will not be a matter of the right place, but with the right heart. For God is a spirit, and he longs to have sincere worshipers who worship and adore him in the realm of the spirit and in truth." And we talked about yesterday about truth, right? Worshiping in truth. And so I want to go into Psalm 63:1. I got to tell you, God is deviating me today, and I'm just going to go with the flow because he's the boss, right? And we're going to unpack a little bit today about the purpose of worship, because we hear about, that we should be worshiping God in spirit and in truth, that we should be worshiping. But do we really know the purpose of worship? Because a lot of times it gets lost, especially during our times where it's more important to have a certain type of music, a certain type of look, for the stage to look a certain way in churches, for us to incorporate dance or, flags, depending on the culture, or ribbons and things like that. And though it's commendable and it's beautiful, is it really the purpose of what worship should be? So we're going to read Psalm 63:1, and I find it really interesting. I love it when we start to read about Jesus and the Gospels, and then you can go back and forth within Scripture and find other verses that kind of make you say, oh, okay, it helps you like connect the dots. So Psalm 63:1 says this, and it's in the Passion Translation. "O God of my life, I am lovesick for you in this weary wilderness." I'm going to repeat that because that is like so deep. And, "O God of my life, I am lovesick for you in this weary wilderness. I thirst with the deepest longings to love you more, with cravings in my heart that can't be described. Such yearning grips my soul for you, my God." I just reading this right over again, it's like so deep. I want to read it to you one more time because you got to understand how David used to worship, right? David used to put his all in the worship. And then we're going to go into the purpose of worship. And the reason that I'm reading about thirst is because remember when Jesus was talking to the woman at the well, he said that he had the water that she wouldn't thirst again, right? And so if you don't live in the wilderness, because remember, we have the commodity of or the comfort or the the ease of being able to walk. And the reason I look over this because my kitchen sink is over there, right? To be able to walk over and just turn on the tap and get a fresh cup of water. And these people did it. They had to walk miles. They had to go into find a well in order to get water. And water sustains you, right? It's part of what you need in life. And if you've ever been very thirsty, and most of us haven't gotten thirsty to the point of, our mouth sticking to each other because it's so thirsty and our throats feeling like sandpaper, because we've never been really in a desert environment for most of us, right? But here's David. He's in a desert and he's saying this: "Oh God of my life, I'm lovesick for you." I think that's so awesome. In this weary wilderness, I thirst with the deepest longings to love you more, with cravings in my heart that can't be described. Such yearnings grip my soul for you, my God. In other words, he just wanted God so incredibly badly. He wanted God so incredibly. He was lovesick for him, which meant that he had relationship. And I know that I harp a lot about having relationship, because sometimes we take and we get so focused on, I went to church on Sunday, check mark. I did my devotional this morning, check mark. I read a chapter, check mark. I smiled at a person, check mark. I did something for somebody, like buy them groceries, or, I picked them up and I took them somewhere, check mark. And we're doing all these check marks. And it's not really, we're so focused on the do, we're not focused on the relationship. We're so focused on the do. And I got to tell you, this message that I'm going to be sharing with you this morning, I told you it's a little deviation, but I'm being obedient to the boss. And it's speaking to me as I am speaking to you. As a matter of fact, when I was going through this, I had such conviction. I still have such conviction, because a lot of us do not know the purpose of worship. We know it, but we don't know it. You know what I mean? We know it like in our head, that we know that, okay, we are worshiping God. It's for God. He deserves all the glory, the honor, and the praise. And we say that constantly. But think about this. When you go to church, is it a check mark for you? Is it okay, I went to church, so now I could go sit down and relax and watch TV. Oh, I went to church, so now I could take the kids out. Oh, I went to church, so now I can do this. Is it just a check mark on, I went into a church, a temple, I sat before a TV, a computer, my phone, and I watched the service, so I have a good check mark because I did what I was supposed to do. And the purpose of worship, it goes way beyond that. And so Jesus said that you can worship from the heart, right? That's what we read yesterday in John chapter 4, which means that you can worship anywhere. Because she was hung up on, we had to go worship in Mount Gerizim, right? Because she was a Samaritan, and that's where they had their temple. But Jesus was saying, no, it starts with the heart. But when you start to dive deeper into this, oh my goodness, when you start to dive deeper into what worship is, the purpose of worship, you have to kind of step back and ask yourself, and this is self-inventory. And guys, I do this, with you. before I teach this and with you as I'm teaching this, because the more I dive into this, the more I am convicted. And remember that conviction is done with love. It's not done with guilt and shame and condemnation. So that is not the purpose of this. And if you know me well by now, I'm not into that, into guilting and shaming and condemning. And, so if you're feeling that it's coming from the enemy, that's not the purpose. The purpose today especially is to find the purpose. Why is it that we worship? What's the purpose of worship? And ultimately, it's all about God. It's not about how good I look up on stage. It's not about how good I sound on stage. It's not about how much I practice my instrument or my voice. It's not about whether we sound good during the service. It's not about any of those things. And we get so hung up on those things that we get distracted and we miss out the purpose of worship. The purpose, the end result of worship is for God. It's not about how good the music sounds. It's not about whether you love that song or not. It's not about whether the environment feels right or not. It's all about the end result, worshiping God, exalting God. It's all about God. And yet we get so hung up on, I'm not going to go to church, or I'm going to be late, or you name it. We have the list of things that we say, and we forget that worship is not just a Sunday, number one, right? Worship is not about the music that's going on. Worship is not about how the band is engaging, or how the worship team is engaging, or how good they sound, or what they're delivering, or how impressive they are because they're so talented. And although I believe totally, completely that you should practice and refine and hone your giftings and your talents. I'm totally there. But you know what? You can gift and hone your talents and miss the whole point of why you're there. What is the end result? Why are you there? Why are you playing that instrument? Is it to be seen? Is it to look good? Is it to sound good? Why are you up there worshiping? Is it so that people can say, wow, you sound so good? Why do you pick the songs that you're picking? Is it because you like the sound to you? But have you ever asked yourself, what is it, God, that you want to hear to you? Because the end result is for God. It's not for the congregation. It's not for people. When you're sitting in that pew or standing, in that pew, or you're worshiping it from your TV, you're looking at a service that's live, or you're hearing a service that's live. Is your posture, or the way that you're worshiping, is it that you're saying, man, that music sounds really bad, or they're off key, or you're paying attention to the process of all that's happening, or you lost in knowing that the end result is for God? It's all about God. And we have lost sight of that. There are times, how many times have we said, and I include myself, I couldn't get into it because I didn't like that song. That song wasn't meant for me to like. It was meant to uplift the name of God, to worship God. And we're missing it. We're missing it. And I feel so convicted, even telling you this. I felt convicted when God started to speak to me about this. And I was hearing a message about this that was so hung up. We are so hung up on the process. We're so hung up on making things look nice and hear nice and broadcast this and that we forget the crux of it. What is the purpose of worship? The purpose of worship is to uplift the Almighty God, to be in awe of His presence, to enter into His presence and be aware of who He is, to be in awe, that when we're singing that is not to hear ourselves sing or to feel good because the song is good. Because a lot of times when we're worshiping, the problem that we had, when I was growing up, was we were so hung up on the rhythm. We were so hung up on the rhythm, and we were so hung up on, having good music. And I came from a very creative background, where I was constantly surrounded by musicians and singers. That's how I met Richie. He's a musician. I used to sing, and I used to love singing. I still love singing. And we get so hung up on the rhythm and the emotion that music brings us. And we think that is worshiping God. And it's not. It's so much incredibly deeper. It's knowing the end purpose. What is the end purpose of the worship? What is the end purpose of my worship? What is the end purpose of your worship? What is the end purpose, guys? Because truly, truly, if we're taking and we're looking at the music and we're focused on the music, we're missing it. We're missing it. We're missing it. There is so much more to worship. The end purpose of worship is to uplift God. And I see that, holy cow, we got to the top of the hour of the devotional so fast today. But I felt that I got so convicted, so incredibly convicted, because it's all about God and we're missing it. It's all about God and we are missing it, guys. We are so missing it, and we have to get refocused on, it's all about him. It's not about us. So I'm going to end the devotional now. I just want to say good morning to a few people. I got to tell you, I'm so convicted. I'm ready to just boo-hoo right now. So good morning, Caroline. I think I told you. Good morning, Dorothy. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Jamie. Good morning, Heidi. And good morning, Tanya. Good morning, Cami. So, guys, we're going to keep unpacking this tomorrow. I'm sorry. I might get undone because it's when I'm teaching this stuff, God is speaking to me. He's dealing with me. And sometimes people think that just because you bring a devotional, you teach or you preach or whatever, the God is not dealing with you. And it says that the word has a double-edged sword, and it's much more. The sword goes this way, the sword comes goes that way, comes back this way also, right? Inclusive. So I'm undone. I hope that this spoke to you and that we really start to kind of slow down and just really, really look at, what is the purpose of worship, and meditate on that today. That is not about you. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's all about him. And we got to start just tweaking every single day so that we become more like Christ. So I love you guys. Have a fantabulous day. We'll be here, same bad time, same bad channel, 7:30 a.m. devotional. Take care, ladies.